Hey everyone, with the newest season of My Adventures with Superman dropping recently, I thought I'd do a deep dive on as many Superman adaptations as I could and rank them from best to worst. Me and my editor made a criteria list for what a good Superman adaptation needs and used it as a rubric, and began the long journey of watching as many Superman adaptations as we could for this video. The 6 we ended up watching were Christopher Reeve Superman, My Adventures with Superman, Routh Superman, Superman the Animated Series, the Man of Tomorrow animated movie, and Henry Cavill's Man of Steel. Honorable mentions will sadly have to go to Superman and Lois and Smallville. Both of those shows are amazing adaptations in their own right, but they are really long and have many questionable choices in storylines that would make them difficult to rank against the others. Now, onto our rankings.
Right. What? Ooh. Ooh. Gosh, it's alive.
And number 1, Christopher Reeve's Superman. The definition of a classic Superman story, this series, even at its lowest points, show us phenomenal characterization of Clark Kent, Superman, Lois Lane, and when he's there, Lex Luthor. Holding timeless messaging anyone can relate to, this is a must-watch if you love superheroes in general, but especially if you love Superman. But be warned, if Superman kisses you, you will forget everything I just said. Oh, and also, Lex Luthor is way too obsessed with land.
I'm confused, Kent. See, I've lived in Metropolis most of my life, and I can't figure out how some yokel from Smallville is suddenly getting every hot story in town.
Well, Lois, the truth is I'm actually Superman in disguise, and I only pretend to be a journalist in order to hear about disasters as they happen and then squeeze you out of the byline.
You're a sick man, Kent.
You asked.
Ranked at number 2, Superman the Animated Series. This series, while newer to me, already is an iconic piece of Superman media, setting the bar for future adaptations of many Superman characters to follow and influencing the media itself. With its interconnected ties to both the Batman animated series and Justice League Unlimited, it is hard to place this anywhere else but near the top. The characterization of Lois, Lana, Clark, and Superman, along with all the villains we get to see, make it feel like you're actually picking up a comic book in the best way possible, making this just as much of a must-watch as the original Superman movies.
Stop! All of you! He's not the alien. I am! This man's name is Rudy Jones. He's the victim of a terrible accident. But he was born here. He's one of you. And so am I.
Ranked at number 3, shockingly, Superman, Man of Tomorrow. While parts of the Tomorrowverse movies have felt lackluster, this movie brought its A-game. This Clark Kent was all about finding out who he is and accepting it, an alien whose home is Earth. With a supporting cast, a villain that wasn't entirely Lex Luthor, he does stand out amongst the rest as something modern audiences can recognize and still feel like an entryway point to. While still feeling clumsy and silly, he's a better balance of reality and hope maxing that you really need when it comes to his adaptation, and his voice cast was absolutely S tier. My favorite part about this movie was that the resolution is something along the lines of learning that not all problems are solved with fists, some are solved with words.
Clark!
Don't worry, I'm still me, Ma. I'm still your son.
Number 4, My Adventures with Superman. While being one of the newest renditions, My Adventures with Superman leaps to great heights immediately. With a solid supporting cast, relationships that feel organic, and improvements made to make Clark Kent feel less toxic and more modern with his approach to his identity as Superman, this show makes a great case for why Superman is still loved today. The most glaring issue we found was the removal of whimsy and magic clearly from the Kryptonians' rogues gallery. The only other problem we had was the unnecessary world building that took away more than it gave to this story. Now, with season 2 starting, we have high hopes for what is to come next.
No! No, the other thing. Come on, I know it's just dangling off the tip of your tongue. Let me hear it just once, please.
Superman will never...
Wrong!
Number 5, Routh Superman. This movie is an attempted continuation and reboot of the classic Reeve story taking place 5 years after the second movie. With modern aesthetics and old Reeve's plot and style, it doesn't feel like an individual like the others do. Lex Luthor is by far the strongest character, while the others seem to have less room to shine, with unnecessary plot threads taking up time and space. Brandon Routh is a phenomenal Superman, do not get us wrong, putting out fires left and right. It's just his Clark Kent isn't given any room to shine the way it totally could have, like it did in the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths 2019 crossover.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun, Cal.
Last place, Henry Cavill's Man of Steel. While an interesting reimagining of a classic story, it fails to show any whimsy or optimism of a Superman story, despite literally pointing out the hope metaphor of a Superman story. -6 for tornadoes and -10 for muted colors. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, but if you didn't, feel free to disagree in the comments. I would love to hear your own Superman rankings, and I'd just love to hear more from you guys. What do you want to see on this channel? It's brand new, basically, and there's plenty of potential for us to do a lot more cool nerd shit. Anyway, I'm Mimix, you're the Mayhems, and also, thank you to my editor. You did a great job with this. I went too far.